Hello, this is your virtual life coach, Michael Lewis. This is what I look like. Let's talk about 3 steps to having an excellent life. The whole subject of excellence, doing things excellently. Excellence comes from 2 old words, EX, which means beyond, and Celsus, which means lofty. So when you are excellent, you are beyond lofty. You're like a mountain, and like any other mountain, people look up to you. That's what we want to have happen. Now, we've all got some concept of what excellence in ourselves and others would entail. It involves practice, being industrious, always searching for new and improved ways of doing things, bettering yourself, working toward just being the best that you can possibly be. Practice, discipline, self-control, all of that, and way more. We're not going to talk about any of that because then we'd have an 87-part webinar. Instead, we're going to take a more specific approach, and we're going to narrow down to just 3 basic elements that together encompass everything that you need to be in order to be excellent, lead an excellent life, do things excellently, and all like that. So hopefully by the end of this webinar, you and I will be more excellent than we were at the beginning of this webinar. So here's the 3 things. First one is doing it all in a rush. You don't want to do that. What does it mean when you do things in a rush? It means sacrificing quality to get it done fast. It means doing the minimum that you can get away without being caught. Not paying attention to those details, those little details of craftsmanship that you should be proud of. And we call this quickie. You do things in a rush, do it quickie. Quickie can apply to something that's built or done shoddily, like your pipe bursts and the plumber comes along. Plumber says, whoever put in these pipes did a really lousy job. Look at this, he forgot to do this, and he just put chewing gum over here and so on and so forth. And it's going to cost you extra. So that's doing something quickie. Or build a house like my uncle used to do. He used to slap together something nice and cheap, whole bunch of houses, sell them for cheap, make a quick buck, get out of town fast before the house fell down. So we're in a quickie culture. Quick relief, quick fixes, instant coffee, instant gratification, everything quick, instant relationships online. And not all of this is a good thing. Some people lead quickie lives. They get into a relationship, they mess it up, they move on to the next one, they get into this really cool, get rich quick business sort of thing, then they get bored with it, or it doesn't work out, after a few weeks or a few months. So they ditch it and they get, oh, here's something else. Some people call that SOS, shiny object syndrome, where you're into this one thing and you just sort of get bored and go, oh, look at that. Oh, shiny object syndrome. So you want to work for quality and completeness, not quickiness. Let's apply that to what you're trying to achieve in life. If you want to write a great book or paint a great painting or make it in show business or in business itself or at home or at work, if you're doing things quickie, it will catch up with you eventually. You have to do the work. Okay, so that's number 1. Don't do things quickie. Number 2, which is a cousin of quickie, is almost. Things almost get done. We did it, sort of, it's almost, it's good enough. It was almost, like the leak in the ceiling was almost completely plugged up. But now instead of going, it's just going bloop, bloop, bloop. So, it wasn't quite finished. It was almost. Or, they removed most of the cancer, but then it grew back. Or the guy is almost a great catch as a husband, but he has a weakness for Chardonnay on weekends. Almost. Almost are really aggravating because they pretend to be complete. They can pretend to be like done. and they're not. You tell your kid to mow the lawn and he says, okay. And you come back and it's, it's maybe 1/3 of the way done and the lawnmower is still there. But he's gone off downtown with his friends and you get mad at him. He says, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it. But who knows? Who knows when? It's an almost. Or you tell an employee, please call these 12 people on the list. You need to get this done today. And he calls a couple of them and then gets distracted by something else. And he has great excuses, but, fact of the matter is, it was an almost. He didn't complete it. It didn't get done. So things have to be done thoroughly. Otherwise, you have to go back and finish them, which basically doubles the work. So just do it all the first time. See? So that's the second thing, is almost. Don't accept almosts from others. Don't accept almosts from yourself. So here's the third thing. And this is something that is not spoken about very much, but it's very real to a lot of people. And it's called necessity level. And what it means is just that. There's something that desperately needs to get done. It needs to get done now, or awful things will happen. Someone falls overboard, they can't swim, they're drowning, you've got to get them fast, you jump overboard, and somehow you have the adrenaline and the oomph to get them back on the ship and administer artificial respiration and save their life and all like that. And afterwards you're like, I don't even know how to swim. How did I do that? It'll sometimes produce amazing results. It's where people very often really live up to their amazing potential. We've all heard stories about, the grandmother who was babysitting and the little 5-year-old kid got stuck under a truck, and the truck was about to start moving, because they didn't put the emergency brake on, and it was on a hill, and it was about to slide down on the little kid. And the grandmother runs, they're all 85 years old of her, and she picks up the end of the truck and stops it just long enough for the child to get out from under it. And then she drops it and she goes, how did I do that? Well, she did it with necessity level. And it's amazing the sort of things you can do if you can just harness that energy. I used to work at a theater group many years ago. I wrote for them, I acted for them, I just, did stuff, it's fun. And one day we had 300 kids come to the theater to see a clown perform for them. And very good clown, apparently, but he didn't show up. And there were these 300 kids sitting there waiting for this clown to show up. And if you've ever been around 300 impatient kids, it's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. And Mrs. Allen, the artistic director, runs up to me and she's all in a kerfuffle. She says, Michael, they're going to tear the place apart. You must do something. You must go out there on the stage and hold them until the clown shows up. And I said, okay. So I went out there. I had no idea when this clown was going to show up or if he was going to show up at all. And I did the first thing that came into my mind, which was, I said, wait! And everybody stopped and I said, quick, who has a head? And most of the kids raised their hands, but at least I got their attention. And I started telling them a story that they could participate in. There were 3 sides to the theater. There's to the audience. There's that side, middle side, and that side. So you people on that side, you're going to be the chocolate magicians. Okay, you people in the middle here, you're going to be the vanilla magicians. You people over here on this side, you're going to be the strawberry magicians. And when I hold up my hand like this and point to you, you're going to be, I'm going to hear my chocolate magicians are going to go hubba hubba hey. And when I point to the middle, you vanilla magicians are going to go hubba hubba hoo. And when I point over here, you strawberry magicians are going to go diddly diddly do. And did everybody get that? And so for the next 45 minutes, I just sort of made up this story about these two little kids who are trying to find out why people laugh. And they have all these adventures and they're roaming in, roaming out of things. And, the only way that they can get out of this cave with the dragon is with the help of the vanilla magicians. So I make them go hubba hubba hoo, and they get out of there and so on. And I just went on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I kept glancing off stage to see if the clown had showed up yet. And Mrs. Allen kept shaking her head. So I just kept extending the story and extending the story. Finally, this stupid clown shows up and he's waiting in the wings. And I just wrapped up the story. The reason why people laugh is because there's no reason not to. The end. Oh, here's the magician. Look at this. And, that was necessity level. Now, so if she had told me, say a week ahead of time, that I would need to entertain these kids for nearly an hour, the adrenaline and the blood pressure and everything else would not have been there to have carried me through. Yeah, I would have been able to do probably a workmanlike job of it, but not like I did in desperation. Possibly you can remember a time when there was something desperate and you needed to do it and you just did it and it turned out fine. It just turned out fine. But that performance, if I say so myself, was legendary. Parents of those kids who knew what was going on were calling me 5 years later saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you did that. Oh, that was amazing." So the trick here, and the moral of the story, is to make whatever you are doing so vital, so important, so life-threatening if it doesn't get done. Whatever it is, tying your shoe or writing that chapter of that book that you need to get around to, or asking the girl out, or whatever. Just make it so crucial that it untaps all this adrenaline and wonderfulness right now. Because it's always there, that potential is there. And that is your untapped vein of gold, which is your excellence, your own personal excellence. I know you've got it. So when you have all those three basics in, completeness, standards, because you're completing things, and necessity level. So no quickie, standards, and necessity level, you have excellence. And what will you have when you have excellence? You will have a beautiful work of art, whether it's the plumbing, or whether it's a painting, or whether it's you, yourself. Yes, you, because your life can be a work of art. How you present yourself to the world, you've got your own style that nobody else has, your own sense of how to look good, which is less a matter of appearance and more a matter of your own grace and how you treat those around you. That makes a room light up when you walk into it, or makes a certain person's heart skip a beat when they see you. And like any great work of art, you have your own theme that runs through you like a great river. It is a theme, it is a message that you convey, whether you're saying it or not. And people can feel that message and they respond to it. Like, have you ever known anybody who is, they're always irritated and annoyed and aggravated. There's always something really aggravating going on, And it's just, the traffic, or the blah, 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 blah party, or the this, or the that. That's the theme of their life. Aggravation. Life is aggravating. That's kind of what they're transmitting on all cylinders. And that's what you pick up. And that is not the most pleasant thing in the world, unless you also are a person who has a theme of aggravation in your life. So if you've ever known anybody who you just feel good being around, they only put out warmth and love and hope, no matter what. Well, that's their message. That's the communication and the theme of that person's life. That's what that person's into. And believe me, you can feel it. And other people can feel it too, and they gravitate to that. If you've ever been fortunate enough to know someone like that, that person himself or herself is an art form. So if you want your life to be a work of art, you want to make sure that what you do is important enough to do as well as you can, that it has importance and meaning to it, and that your own manner and style of living, how you treat others, your gracious attitude, your warmth, your you-ishness, you know, the quality of being you, indicates that you are creating yourself as a safe and beautiful haven for others to experience. You are an experience for others, and you can be a pleasant one or you can be a yucky one. I vote for pleasant. So just for fun, each day this week, take a moment and be conscious of what you're doing that moment, whether it's a task or a conversation with someone, whether you're looking on the internet, just be very conscious of what you're doing and do it the very, very, very best and most thorough that you can, just for that moment or two or three or four. No matter how trivial it is, just be sure that there's no almost about it, that you're not doing it quickie, and that you've got adrenaline on it. You've got necessity level on it. There's a crucialness about it. Even if you're just brushing your teeth or petting the cat, do it to the highest standards, the very highest standards. It'll feel good. It'll feel good. Do these things, make a habit of doing these things, and I'll bet you your life will be a masterpiece that can be hung in the greatest art museum there is. And that's all I have to say for now. If you like this webinar, please be persuaded to like and subscribe. Meanwhile, love each other, take your vitamins, observe posted speed limits, and never lose sight of who you are. Never, never, never lose sight of who you are. So long for now.